Hi, welcome or welcome back to my channel, and welcome to my most anticipated reads of July and August, or basically the summer. I am sorry this is coming out a little bit late. I will be covering my most anticipated releases in the genres of fantasy, romantasy, thriller, mystery, romance, and even some historical fiction. So there's a wide variety for all kinds of readers. I am sure you will find something to look forward to along with me. And at the very end, I will be talking about which of these books, some of the most popular book boxes, have chosen to release as their July and August special editions. I will also warn you when to click out if you don't want any spoilers. But without further ado, let's get into the books from the hottest month of the year. I'm pretty sure the only good part is Summerween, July. And now let's get into those July books. We are beginning July with The Night Ends with Fire. I guess July also starts with fire, apparently, because this book by KX Song sounds amazing. It is inspired by Mulan, the original legend, but I'm sure she will grant our Disney fans some little Easter eggs here and there. And when this takes place, the three kingdoms are at war. But Malin's father, yeah, he's not going to answer the Imperial draft. No, he's already been drafted by his opium addiction. And his plans are basically to marry Malin off so he can get her dowry. Yeah. Unfortunately for Malin, her hubby-to-be is super ill-tempered. She disguises herself as a boy without the help of a dragon, might I add. Off she goes and enlists in her father's place. And you know what? Her hard work kind of earns her a lot of recognition and friendship and growing closeness with Sky, the prince turned to reigning partner. Of course. Now, Mushu here kind of turns up after all, just in a different form, as visions of a sea dragon. And he offers her power and true freedom just for like a sort of deadly price tag. Yeah. Now the future of the three kingdoms, they hang in balance, and she's not really sure who to trust. Sky, who's kind of offering her like loyalty and love. Boring. The sea dragon, who's kind of got his own agenda. Dragons are fickle, aren't they? And then there's this enemy Prince Guy. He is super infuriating, but he also makes her question everything that she thought she knew about her kingdom and her own heart. Okay, I'm gonna get real with you here, Malin. You need to pick whichever one looks the most like the cartoon Shang. You're welcome. July 2nd, we're also getting Reckless. This is book 2 in the Powerless trilogy from Lauren Roberts. Remember, this is about the girl who is like pretending she's an elite because you don't want to not be an elite in her world. She's pretending to be psychic, and then she kind of stays a prince, so she gets stuck competing in magical trials because it's always magical trials. This is supposed to be great for her. She's supposed to get a chance to show off, but she can't, and of course, she ends up forming an alliance. It's always an alliance. Some deadly magical. I think it was vampire in this one. No, yes, no. You'd think I would know based on the number of special editions that I've ordered of this trilogy. July 2nd also brings us God of the Woods by Liz Moore. And this book is already being compared to The Secret History, which it's not dark academia. So very curious as to see why. But the general advice is to go in as blind as you can. So if you want to skip this one completely, I understand, but I don't plan on giving too much away either. It is also being described as a literary fiction mystery and is being compared to When the Stars Go Dark, which I absolutely love by, I think it was Paul McLean, and Notes on an Execution, which I will never, ever, ever read because I don't think I can handle it. It takes place in the Adirondacks in August 1975. And one morning, Camp Counselor Louise wakes up, oh, yawn, lovely, birds chirping, and goes to check on her campers, and one of them is missing from the cabin. 13-year-old Barbara, who, of course, is not just any old camper, but happens to be the daughter of the owners of the whole entire camp and all the land the camp is on. And right on the edge of the land, yeah, their big old giant mansion. What makes this especially weird is that her brother Bear also disappeared in the same exact woods 14 years ago and was never seen again. This doesn't seem to bode well, does it? I feel like the answer is no. Apparently this book's gonna be like non-linear timeline. We're gonna be hearing, probably most obviously, from the camp counselor, but also from Barbara's mom and the young female detective who is investigating the case. But apparently a big theme running through, and I think where the whole secret history thing coming in, is the massive divide between the super wealthy family at the heart of everything and the blue-collar community in which this camp is located. I am definitely super intrigued by this, and I am pretty positive this is going to be a Book of the Month pick for July. Moving on to July 9th, we are getting The Hollywood Assistant. This is by May Cobb, and this thriller sounds like a super great beach read, since it's about Cassie, who is heartbroken, stuck in life, and very possibly getting a little too obsessed with her plants. Wouldn't know I killed them all. So when a friend of hers decides that she's had enough of her moping, she actually does her solid and hooks her up with world-famous couple Marisol and Nate Sterling. See, they need a new assistant. And Cassie is like, heck yeah, and jumps at the chance to move to beautiful, sunny LA. And this couple, like, they're warm, they're welcoming, they're, well, perfect. And like, so's the gig, kind of. Cassidy just has to run errands for like a few hours a week, and in exchange, luxury. Yeah, she gets great pay and access to like designer clothes, a sparkling pool, and maybe even a chance to kickstart her dreams to be a writer, because all of a sudden it's like, hey, do you want to take a look at some of the scripts I've written? Yes, sure, that's what he wants, Cass. Soon enough, their relationship moves from professional to, yeah, not so much. Obviously, Marisol did not know what she had, the dummy. Does she honestly not think Cassidy hears them fighting? I mean, she probably doesn't assume Cassidy's like lurking around, but still. But then Cassidy finds out why she was really hired. The Sterlings, they are not the perfect couple. Marisol, she is not the perfect wife. But when one of them is found dead, Cassidy is the perfect suspect. I mean, at least Netflix would probably consider this perfect documentary material. Right, Cassidy? July 9th also brings us one of the books I am most excited for in the whole month of July, and that is The Spellshop by Sarah Beth Durst. And the basic standard edition, at least as of right now, has pretty purple sprayed edges, and the cover is delightful, kind of reminiscent of the Honey Witch. Gorgeous, just the standard copy alone. And no, Sarah Beth Durst is not related to Fred Durst of Limp Bizkit. I checked. So this is about Kyla, or Keela. I'm pretty sure it's Kyla. I'm going with that because I love Kyla from the Infinite Library. I'll leave it linked below. So anyway, Kyla in the book is a librarian at the Great Library of Elysium. She has spent the last decade preserving the Empire's most precious spellbooks and their magic, of course, for this city's elite. No comment. With, of course, her assistant, and who's going to be my favorite character in this book, Kaz, a, wait for it, magically sentient spider plant. Let's just have a moment for Kaz. It's going to be such a good book. Okay, now when the library goes up in flames, this is not her fault. There's the revolution. She grabs as many books as she can, and Kaz, of course, and flees to her remote childhood island. Very far from the revolution and flames. Now there, life is not so quiet as it was amongst the stacks, and she's kind of like plagued by her nosy neighbor, her nosy, very handsome neighbor, who bothers her with terrible things, like asking her if she needs help rebuilding her home and making sure she's fed. How dare he? Now, realizing that she does need an income, she realizes that the bakery has no jam. This is a very cottagecore problem kind of book, minus the whole revolution flames thing. And what do you need to bake jam? Berries. And what do you need to make berries? Apparently magic. Soon, her cottage is completely covered in berry bushes. Oh my god, I'm so jealous. And the bakery has loads of jam made from her parents' old recipe book. Serotonin and dopamine hit that I'm getting just from like reading this description, right? And suddenly Kyla has gone from like sneaky spell user to outright witch, and is risking all the consequences of spell use by opening the island's first ever secret spell shop. So get your teacups out, slather some jam on some freshly baked bread, because honestly, it does not get more cottagecore than this one. July 9th also brings us The Darkness Within Us. Now, this is like a companion novel to The Shadows Between Us by Trisha Levenseller, which I read and was like, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. What do you mean it's fade to black? The first book was about Alessandra, and she wed the Shadow King. The second book is about her sister, Chrysantha Stathos. And Chrysantha, Alessandra's sister, she's pissed. She thought she won, okay, in life by playing the beautiful airhead. She gathered all the secrets, she got her father's favor, and she married an old duke, okay? And then her sister went and upstaged her by marrying the frickin' Shadow King. You're not gonna top that, right? And when her husband finally croaks, he was old and treacherous and all around no good. Like, you don't have to feel bad about this. All right. A man turns up, like, claiming to be his grandson, and now he's going to inherit everything instead of her. No way she's letting some man take everything that is hers. Now, he might be handsome and alluring and have mysterious powers, and we've heard this before, but oh no, she wants Eric's Deimos dead. And here's the thing about Stethos girls, they always get what they want. Good for them, because let me tell you, so far, Trisha Levenseller has just left me deeply unsatisfied. July 9th, we're also getting the Briar Club from Kate Quinn. That's right, I do read historical fiction, and this one, shockingly, is not taking place during World War II. For those of us who know Kate Quinn, I'll give you a moment. This one takes place in Washington, D.C. I know, take another sec. In 1950, post-World War II. So, you know, slight deviation. And it takes place in an all-female boarding house. We've got Grace March, who is the new girl in the boarding house. She has just taken over the attic, and now she's hosting weekly dinner parties and hides a terrible secret. Now it sounds like Kate Quinn. We've got Phyllis, who's the poised English beauty, hiding lots of inner wounds under a facade of being the perfect wife and mother. We've got Nora, the policeman's daughter, who's also kind of maybe sort of entangled with a gangster. I hope romantically. She's gonna be a fave, I know it. We've got Beatrice, who's a frustrated baseball star whose career ended when the baseball league ended because the men came home, and apparently we don't need both leagues. Thank you, American Patriarchal Society. And we've also got Arlene, who's poisonous and gung-ho and all about the Red Scare and weeding out those darn Russian spies. That's right, guys. We have a book filled with paranoia set in the McCarthy era and all about the changing roles for women post-World War II. Yeah, doesn't this feel timely for us? If you're living in America right now, vote blue so we can have another Independence Day in 2025. Anyway, when a shocking act of violence tears this house apart, the house must then decide who is the real enemy. My money is on Arlene in the attic with McCarthyism and false accusations. Just a thought. July 9th, we're also getting a fantasy standalone. There just aren't enough of them from Jen Lyons called The Sky on Fire. Welcome to a world ruled by dragons. Honestly, I'm gonna say you could do worse. This is about Anharad, and she prefers to live in the jungles of the deep. I think I prefer the dragons, but you do you, Anharad. She survives with only, apparently, the Titan Drake she keeps by her side, which sounds like a dragon, but I'm already confused, but okay, sure, why not? But things take a slight turn when an adventuring party helps her evade capture from the local warlord. Good choice, I'm gonna say, but they don't exactly let her go back to solitary life in her little jungle. Of course, they need her help with what you ask, stealing from a dragon's hoard. And that, of course, means going up to the cloud cities above, which are ruled by said dragons. Since the hoard in question obviously belongs to the dragon regent. And for some reason that we don't know, I assume Anharad knows, that dragon wants Anharad dead. We've got conniving dragons, we've got intrigue, we've got high stakes, we've got a heist, and according to the description, we've got a little heat. Apparently the sky is not going to be the only thing on fire in this book. It sounds kind of wild. It's quite the mix. I'm here for it. You know what? Long live the dragons. On July 16th, we are getting the Au Pair Affair, which is the second of the Big Shot series from Tessa Bailey. Now look, it happened when summer was such a fave from Tessa Bailey, okay? I am still waiting to hit that same high for me. It hasn't happened yet, but yet I remain convinced she's gonna do it. Will this be the book? Honestly, based on the description, it might be. So, on one hand, we've got Tallulah, right? Smart, vivacious, studying to be a marine biologist, 26, and broke. You really didn't even have to say the broke part. I feel like it was implied by the rest of it, but sure. And then we've got Burgess. He is a burly, surly single dad who is about to fall head over hockey stick, yes, more hockey, for one Miss Tallulah. Now, Tallulah opts to take a job as a live-in nanny because, like, the house is in a nice neighborhood, okay? And we mentioned broke, right? And she is going to be taking care of an introverted teen. Her child is not the only one who could use a little help getting pulled out of her shell, if you take my meaning. Daddy Dearest, yeah, he's been off the dating market for quite some time and could use a little shove getting back onto it. Now, while she's helping him do this, boundaries obviously are going to get crossed, but Tallulah opts to break her own heart and walk away because she knows, okay, that Miss Tweenager, yeah, her biggest dream in the whole wide world is for her mom and dad to get back together, and she just can't do it. She just can't do it. But it turns out said daughter, she gives Daddy Dearest a serious talking to and tells him to drop his so-called baggage. I guess she means her mom, yikes. And fight for his own happily ever after. I guess the nanny can move over. We don't need a Broadway producer anymore. We're getting an ex-hockey player. July 16th, we are also getting Business Casual, which is the final book in the Love Light series from B.K. Borison. I'm hoping. This one takes place in the fall because we had winter, spring, summerish, and fall is my favorite season. Please do it. But I could not find anywhere that said what season this book takes place in. So fingers crossed. Anyway, this one is about Nora. And Nora has no time for love, okay? She is working super hard right now, opening her tattoo studio. And like, she absolutely cannot explain her attraction, okay, to charming, buttoned up, three-piece suit wearing investment banker Charlie Milford, who is determined to help her fledgling business. Now, did you see the, yeah, I can read it back to you, Nora, if you would like me to. I can tell you why you're attracted to him. Anyway, genius over here decides that the best course of action is for them to get it out of their systems, by which I mean have a one-night stand, because that never backfires. Apparently, that is exactly what their night is. Fire. And with Charlie temporarily heading up Lovelight Farms for reasons I don't know and the summary does not explain, and refusing to leave a good investment on the table. Haha, Charlie. Yeah, I bet Nova's looking at some nuptials. July 16th is also bringing us The Bright Sword, and if you are a fantasy fan, I'm pretty sure you've heard the buzz around this one. This is the next book from Lev Grossman, and that's right, the author of The Magicians is bringing us an Arthurian legend retelling. This one's a little different though, as in Welcome to Camelot, sort of. So Gollum arrives expecting to compete for a spot at the round table, as, you know, like a knight would. Only the king died 2 weeks ago at the Battle of Camlann without an heir, and only a few knights are like even left. And I don't mean the famous ones. We're not talking like Galahad or Gawain here. No, we're talking like the oddballs, the ones around the like edges of the stories, including like Arthur's Fool, who got knighted as a joke, which is kind of a jerk move on Arthur's part, not gonna lie. Anyway, they are joined by Nimue, I think it's pronounced, who was Merlin's apprentice, cool, until she like turned on him and buried him under a hill. Any regrets now, Nimue? No? None. Okay. Together now, it's up to them to like rebuild Camelot, you know. Only, see, the world has kind of like lost its balance because Arthur's death revealed Britain's fault lines, which I'm assuming are like ley lines. And now fairies, monsters, and gods, they're all kind of like giving up out of the cracks, and they're led by Morgan Le Fay, Arthur's sister. Do you remember her? I remember her. Do you remember her? Yeah, no. They're all returning, and kingdoms, they're turning on one another, and warlords are all attacking Camelot, and there's like factions forming around like the disgraced Lancelot and fallen Guinevere. You remember them? Yeah, they're still around apparently. So basically, their only hope is to reclaim Excalibur. I don't think they know where it is right now, if I had to guess, and solve the mysteries of the ruined world. But in order to do that, they need to figure out why the lonely, brilliant King Arthur fell in the first place. Yeah, hold tight, guys. I don't think this is gonna be a super like romantic take on Camelot. No singing birdies here. July 16th is also a book that I am so looking forward to. I've been looking forward to this since I heard it announced, and that is The Lost Story by Meg Schaffer. This is a shoo-in for Book of the Month pick. There's no way this is not going to be splashed about in the Goodreads Choice Awards. However, I have avoided hearing anything about all of these books except for this one, and it's killing me, and the reviews are scaring me a little. This is the author of The Wishing Game, which thoroughly enchanted me and reminded me why and how I fell in love with reading when I read it last summer. And this one is inspired by the Chronicles of Narnia, which you will be shocked to know I have never read because I was thoroughly traumatized by watching The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the cartoon one, as a child. This is about besties, Jeremy and Rafe, and they went missing when they were just boys in this vast West Virginia forest, only to reappear 6 months later with zero explanation as to where they were or how they survived. 15 years later, Rafe is this like reclusive artist, and he has scars both internally and externally from his experience, but he remembers nothing. Blank slate there. Jeremy fared a lot better. He became this missing persons investigator, and he kind of has these, shall we say, uncanny abilities to locate people. See, he remembers exactly what happened. So when this vet tech, Emily's sister, goes missing in the exact same woods where Jeremy and Rafe disappeared all those years ago, he is certain he is the only one who can find her, because there's no way she didn't also find her way into the magical realm he once found. And it is, yes, filled with impossible beauty, but also terrible danger. Isn't that always the case? So it seems the time has come to stop keeping Rafe in the dark. I don't know why he was. I really hope he had a really good reason. Tell him the truth. And the three of them, that's right, Rafe, Jeremy, and Emily, now set off into the woods to go return to the enchanted world that he and Rafe once called home for 6 entire months. With Emily, they set off to get everything and everyone back that they've lost. To me, it sounds amazing. Maybe I'm going to be at an advantage not having read the Chronicles of Narnia for this one. Finally, our last book for July 16th is The Body in the Backyard. It's not as creepy as it sounds. This is the 4th book in the Riley Thorne series by Lucy Score, and I was really hoping I was going to be the one to like introduce booktube to this series because nobody was reading it when I discovered it last spring, and I was like, Summerween's the perfect time to break this out. All the books so far have taken place in summer, and I was like, yes, and now like everybody is reading it and has found it. And of course they did. It's Lucy Score. It's not like she's an undiscovered author. So I was like, ugh. But so excited for book 4. Riley Thorne is delightful and wonderful and hilarious. She is this reluctant psychic. Like, she is not happy about her powers at all. And she lives in this apartment complex with this wildly amusing cast of characters. Like, think like an old lady who, if you do not hide her keys, she should not be driving, but she will. And in book 1, and so I'm guessing it continues, she finds herself dealing with murder and body in the backyard. Yeah, I'm guessing so it goes. Expect exactly what you would think from Lucy Score, giving you a semi-cozy murder mystery. She does indeed have a love interest who is like the surly burly PI. Also gorgeous, yes. There's hilarity, there's hijinks, yes, there's spice, and yes, she really does see dead people. July 23rd. First, we're going to talk about a really interesting one that I don't think I've heard a ton of people talking about. It is the first in the Love's Academic series by India Holton, and it is the Ornithologist Field Guide to Love. I love this book already just from the title. I'm not an ornithologist, although, oh my god, I've had such a weird couple of weeks with birds. We had a bird decide to build a nest in our garage, and I had to rescue a baby bird. And before that, we even had a hummingbird get stuck in our garage. I don't know what's with our garage lately, but it got exhausted. I had to feed it sugar water, and I've been holding a lot of birds. Teeny tiny birds lately. Anyway, ornithology. This is a historical rom-com described as Indiana Jones, but with manners, tea, and helicopter parasols. Christianified, I suppose. This is about Beth, who is just about to capture a very rare bird indeed. It's called the Death Whistler, if you were wondering. I really hope it's not prescient. When Professor Devin Alockley swoops in, capturing her bird and her imagination. This is his villain origin story, like, in her mind. On the other hand, Devin, yeah, he's full on smitten. Okay, she's pretty, she's polite, she's a veritable angel, capable of bringing down like fiery, deadly birds with her wits alone, I guess. Death Whistler was not like a cute name. That seems literal. Okay. But alas, professional rivals. Sigh. But when competition for Bird of the Year is announced, quest. And they are told that in order to earn the title, they must capture the endangered Calagius bird. In order to have a chance at winning, they're gonna have to obviously team up because they can't trust anyone else, and clearly, like, foul play is afoot. And apparently, all is fair in love, war, and ornithology. Now, July 23rd. Okay, I've described this book so many times, I am bored talking about it, and this is the last time I will be describing The Last One by Rachel Housel Hall until this book is in my little hands, and I am showing it to you. So, ready, here we go. All right, we got Kai. She's naked, voiceless, alone in a forest with no memories, okay? Everyone in town acts like she's Regina George. She's greeted with fear and loathing, but none of the admiration and like the, oh, she's so hot thing, I think. It's not described anyway. We've got monsters constantly attacking, and every time like she goes and like fights one and defeats it, she gets a new power. This is cool. Every time she touches a human being, a little part of her dies. This is not cool. Apparently, it sucks to be Kai. Clearly, she needs some answers and fast, but like the source of her power is this amulet thing, and somehow, even though she has no memories, she knows this supposed friend of hers named Adara like stole it from her, so clearly Adara's a liar. Adara's brother, the hot blacksmith in town, he's like, yeah, I'll help you get your amulet back, but now there's this like white-haired lady who showed up in town, and she says she's a friend, but she's clearly lying too, because, well, she is stronger and stranger than Kai. She's also doing everything she can to like thwart Kai's attempts to get her amulet back and figure things out. So, there's your description. I am done with this book until I see it. Red Tower Books, do better with your publication dates. Okay, July 30th, we have got Beneath These Cursed Stars from Lexi Ryan. She's the author of These Hollow Vows, which I just read and really enjoyed. It is not a total ripoff of ACOTAR. I don't know what people were talking about. Like, yes, I see the similarities, but totally enjoyable on its own. This is a spin-off series though, so like you do kind of have to read the first book or you're gonna get like spoiled and stuff, so consider this your warning. This is about Princess Jocelyn, and she has a secret ring, that is, that gives her these wild powers, okay? It gives her the powers of Death's Kiss. Yeah, so instead of like going to sleep at night and like putting on her princess like nightgown and like good night beauty sleep, no, our girl, she pops on this ring and goes out and assassinates her enemies. Okay, I mean, I stay up all night filming these videos at this point, so whatever, sure, you do your thing. Meanwhile, we've also got shapeshifter Felicity. Now, Felicity, she needs a miracle to save her from this prophecy. Yeah, it's a bad prophecy. It's a fatal one featuring patricide, which is going to show up more than once in this video and also showed up recently in another video. What is it with killing the daddies? When rumors of Evil King Mortius's resurrection start surfacing, Jocelyn is like, yo, Felicity, babe, you're a shapeshifter. Can you shift into me, take my place so I can go after this like evil king guy? Yeah, you can do that. Cool. Okay, bye. So Felicity, new Princess Jocelyn, Jas goes and teams up with the handsome Kendrick. And he does indeed make her feel things other than anger and fury and rage while on the hunt for the evil king. I know, you're shocked. Me too. Felicity, meanwhile, is at the palace and she's starting to get close to the Fae King Misha, and she finds herself wishing she lived in a world where she could just be herself, like as herself in her own body. It's complicated for Felicity, okay? Soon, both girls' missions and hearts are at risk. Surely, both must have been born under cursed stars to have fates such as these. July 30th also brings us The Mirror of Beast, which is the second book in Silver in the Bone by Alexandra Bracken. This is the second book in her Camelot series. It's about Tamsin, the treasure hunter, who finds herself right in the middle of a version of Camelot. It's a very unique and pretty darn dark Arthurian retelling. This one I will not be continuing on. It is everything I never wanted from a Camelot retelling. It sounds amazing. She's a treasure hunter going off to like save her brother, but like, oh, it hurt to see Camelot like this. We didn't get into like deep mythology or like deep examination of the human condition. It just was like, oh, Camelot. Yeah. Didn't work in YA form. an adult. July 30th also brings us Look in the Mirror by Catherine Steadman, and I enjoy her so much as a thriller writer. If you are not listening to her books on audio, you are totally missing out, because at least last time I checked, she is still doing all of her own audio narration. And not only do I enjoy her books, but she does the best narration because, of course, she nails her own books, but she is a former actress from the East End, which is England's version of Broadway, and she is incredible. This is about two girls, and possibly the biggest mystery of all is how these two girls are linked. First, we have Nina, okay? And when her dad dies, she inherits this dream vacation home, okay? And it is state of the art, all glass and marble, and like, you know what I mean. You know those houses. The only thing is, like, she never knew it existed. And her dad was like this sensible, normal guy, right? It's not a place he should have ever been able to afford. So, A, how does he have it? B, why did she not know it existed? I'd have questions too. Not only that, but like, let's go down the rabbit hole. What else could he have been hiding and why? All right, then it just breaks and it's like, meet Maria, former medical student, now nanny for the ultra rich. It's got like better pay than anything else she could find, right? And amazing destinations. And she just needs one more job and she'll be totally financially set. And by that, I mean she'll be able to pay for medical school and pay for all of her expenses while she is completing her studies. Kind of a smart girl, really. Like, student loans, they suck, you know. When she arrives at this big last final job, the dad and the kids are nowhere to be found, and all she has is like a phone number and a list of rules. There's just like one big no-no. Don't go in the basement. We all know she's going in the basement. Now, I have read Catherine Steadman before. We're all assuming that like Nina's in the basement or Nina's dad's in the basement. But it's never going to be that simple. And I need to know the twist yesterday. Like, I have to know. So I can't wait to get my hands on this book. Bring on July 30th. That also means to be that much closer to fall. And summer is miserable. So, yay. July 30th is also bringing us a dark, delicious, gothic romance called Castle of the Cursed by Romina Garber. The house is always hungry is our tagline. My house is always hungry. It's got a mortgage. So, after her parents are killed in a mysterious attack, poor Estella is determined to solve the case, even if her grip on reality may be slipping just a teensy-weensy little bit from her intense survivor's guilt. But when she accepts an invitation from her aunt to live in their ancestral Spanish castle, I mean, at least there are some good things in her life, right? Good God. Called La Sombra. Let's look up what that means. La Sombra. It's a band that's not, no, what's it mean? Oh, that means the shadow. She soon realizes that there is a little trove, a treasure trove, if you will, of family secrets hidden beneath its gothic facade. And she's pretty dang sure that her parents' deaths are, you know, linked to the past. When she meets a boy with silver eyes named Sebastian, is there a Spanish way to say that? Sebastian. Sure. She kind of worries he's like the hallucination. How tenuous is her grip on reality here? Oh, since she can only see him, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna give her that one. But he claims he's been like trapped in the castle, so okay. Yeah, no, I'll buy that one. So Ghostboy and her decide to team up and like a romance ensues, but it's like super laced with like mistrust because, well, her ancestors like probably trapped him in the castle. And also he's undead. So I feel like there's going to be mistrust there. Soon, however, the mysteries sort of extend beyond the castle until Estella is basically convinced the entire town of Oscura, dark, oh, good, that's what that translates to, is lying to her. And she's beginning to think that the suspect she's been looking for her this whole time, you know, the one who got her parents, yeah, they've already found her. Fun. I mean, you had me at Gothic Castle, right? And finally, on July 30th, we are getting the next book from Sherry Lapina or Lapina. I have heard both pronunciations. It is called What Have You Done? And this is possibly the most dramatic description I have heard from a thriller. So here we go, kids. Buckle up. Nothing ever happens in sleepy little Fairhill, Vermont. Nothing ever happens in sleepy little Fairhill, Vermont. Parents trust that their kids will come home safe from school, curtains rarely twitch, everyone knows everyone. Front doors are left unlocked even, and teenagers, they get their kicks by telling ghost stories in the old graveyard. But this morning, that will change. Diana Brewer, she isn't lying safely in her bed. She's lying in a hayfield, vultures circling overhead, and about to be discovered by a local farmer. Bad morning for him. How quickly a girl becomes a ghost. How quickly curtains flutter and doors get locked. A town of friends become suspects. You just really don't know anyone, do you? And one innocent question could be deadly. What have you done? Someone in Fairhill did this, and everyone wants answers. What have you done? What have I done? We made another list for August, of course. And welcome to August, which coincidentally will be Realism. Yay, we're excited for that. And we're also excited for my birthday. Do not ask a lady how old she is. She will not answer you. Anyway, August 6th brings us so many fantastic books. Are you ready for this? You're totally not ready for this. Okay, so starting off, we have the next book from Casey McQuiston, and I am so excited to say she's moving back off from that YA thing. Sarah Wheeler, I may have DNF'd it softly, but did I ever go back? No. So this one is called The Pairing, and it's about Theo and Kit. So these two childhood besties, crushes, then lovers, then boyfriends, and now they're estranged exes. See, they had this brutal breakup during a transatlantic flight on their way to their dream European vacay, which was a food and wine tour. Sounds fab, right? I mean, I'm down. And where are our bisexual foodies now, you might ask? Well, Theo, confident, hustling bartender by night, and aspiring sommelier by day. My brother-in-law is actually a sommelier. Like, that test, really freaking hard, okay? Yikes. Your palate has to be on point. Theo has a super long roster of casual lovers that he has either left in his wake or still going through nightly. Unsure TBD. Kit, on the other hand, he never returned to America. Good for you, Kit. You see the dumpster fire we are over here now? Lucky you. Nay, he graduated as the reigning sex god of his pastry school. Yay for Kit. And now bakes at the finest restaurant in Paris. I want Kit. Have you had a true Parisian croissant? I have not, but God, I want one. But now, both realized suddenly that their vouchers for that tour that I mentioned before, you know, the one they broke up on the way to, they are about to expire. That's right, they were only good for 48 months. That's right, 4 years. What are these vouchers? Has anyone heard of a voucher that's good for that long? No, me neither. Great, just checking. And so they each decide to take the trip solo, because they each only have one voucher. But at the same time, you see where this is going, right? Right. So they've signed up for 3 weeks of stunning views, incredible food, plenty of delightful drink pairings, and each other. But since they're both, like, totally over one another, one night Theo suggests a friendly little wager, like, who can sleep with their hot Italian tour guide first? And Kit, well, Kit says, why stop there? Let's have a full-on European hook-up competition. Oh, this won't get messy at all. Hope you find what you need to sate those appetites, boys. Bringing you a complete and total tonal change now, August 6th also brings us Death at Morning House by Maureen Johnson. So this one starts off with some excitement. After accidentally setting the house she was house sitting on fire, might I add, while she was on a date with Akila, the girl our dear sweet heroine Marlowe has been in love with for years. Hot should be date Marlowe, but they should not require a firefighter. I mean, well, some can have firefighters, but this is not that kind of book. It's YA, not white shoes. Marlo finds herself in need of a new job since she literally just burnt her old one down. So she finds one, and now she gets to give tours at Morning House. MORN, like the time of day that I very much dislike and requires caffeine. It's this mansion built on an island, built in the 1920s, and abandoned shortly thereafter. That's not suspicious. Anyway, easy enough. She talks about, like, the stained glass and, like, the woodwork and prohibition stuff and, 20s, and the death and, oh, did I not Did I not mention those? Yeah, so, yeah, it turns out Morning House has, like, this this horrible secret that's been buried for years, and another person who hired Marlo, yeah, she's, like, totally disappeared from the island, and Marlo can't find her anywhere, and so apparently one clue is enough to set up this catastrophic chain of events, kinda like the spark that probably started that fire in the beginning of the book. You would know about that, wouldn't you, Marlo? To Fun at Morning House. Also on August 6th, The Girl with No Reflection. This is by Kesha Chow, and I am really excited for this one. Okay, check this out. Once upon a time, Princess Ying Yue believed in true love. Me too, girly. But, oh, here comes the but. We're already going downhill. When she meets the crown prince, wait, this is a but? Her husband-to-be, he's anything but fairy tale worthy. Oh dear. Old, ugly, smelly. He's cold and indifferent. Oh, well, okay. And confines Ying to her room without ever telling her why. Well, I hate to tell you, Ying, but this is very fairy tale-y. Oh, and by the way, rumor has it that the 7 brides who came before her, yeah, they all just like mysteriously disappeared after they got married. Not a great sign. So with only her reflection for company, I guess there's like a big old mirror in the room. We could have probably seen that coming if we paid attention to the title, but I didn't. Ying begins to see things in the mirror, like movements of the corner of her eye, then things that like aren't there in the room but are there in the mirror. I would worry. Would you worry? I would worry. Colorful lights. And then on the eve of her wedding, she accidentally tears open a gateway and falls into the mirror world. Yeah, okay. So good times here, Alice. Anyway, it's not so bad. The world has better company that she's had in ages. I mean, there's like reflections in there, but they're sentient. So like they talk to her, which is better than walls. And then there's one, apparently, of the Crown Prince himself, which kind of makes sense. I guess you're in the palace. And the Mirror Prince, okay, he is kind. He is compassionate. We already knew he was good looking, right? And of course, Ying falls head over heels in love with him. But of course, she can't just be happy. Oh, no. We can't just end it there, can we? Nope, this world has to have hidden darkness and a blood-soaked history with the real world. And of course, he has to play this huge dramatic role in both of them, and fast too, because yeah, the brides before her, they didn't figure things out fast enough, and then it was too late. Good luck, Ying. This Wonderland thing is never gonna work out for any of the Alices, is it? August 6th also brings us Apprentice to the Villain. Okay, so Hannah Nicole Mirror, if you watched her original TikTok, she had this whole thing where she played the assistant to the villain, and this is the second in the series. Now, the first one, slightly disappointed. I wanted a little more, well, humor, which is not usually what you hear from me, but here we are. I know, what is the world coming to? But this was about Evie, who found herself working for the villain in the first book. And of course, he was oh so attractive. And amidst his villainry, their hijinks, and ferreting out a little office mole, they developed some feels, and she got a promotion, and some other stuff happened along the way. There was like a dragon, and don't worry about it. Read the book if you want to know more. You want to know more, because the sequel's coming out on August 6th. You're welcome. On August 6th, we also get Witty In Pink by Erica George. Call me Ishmael. No, seriously. We're gonna go with this. Call me Blythe. Ready? Here we go. A first-person delivery of this description. After 5 years of avoiding him, Briggs Goswick may have appeared at my feet like a white knight, but he is a certified man-child. Briggs is many things, too. Society darling, annoying, attractive, so unfair, and heir to an elite family. This is actually helpful. But after humiliating me at a ball several years ago, he is first and foremost my arch nemesis. His mere presence has taken this summer from bad to complicated. See, it's up to me to save my family's name and finances, which means suffering through an endless parade of jury balls and rather insufferable suitors to score a favorable match. But I have another idea, a better idea, a business venture, and all I need are investors. And Briggs, well, his secret puts him out of the running. Since it turns out we're in the same boat. Yeah, dude's flat broke, and he needs to marry rich and fast. But I can solve both of our problems. See, if he helps me boost my social standing from slight obscurity, not my fault, and help me use his connections to win over investors, then perhaps I can help him woo an aloof heiress with deep buckets. Okay, so it's kind of a long shot. It might work, but do I want it to? How'd I do? I'm totally not an actress, but it was kind of fun. If it was terrible, don't tell me. And finally, on August 6th, we are getting T. Kingfisher's new book. Now, I've only read one by T. Kingfisher. It was their YA, and I know their humor's a little bit dark for me. And this one sounds like it could go either way, but we'll see. This is a dark retelling. See? Dark. Brothers Grimm Goose Girl? So, we'll see. All right, so this is about Cordelia. Love the name. And she knows her mom's kind of weird, right? Okay. So their house, no doors. Already I have issues with this, right? Her social life, non-existent. Someone call a social worker. Unless you count her mom's beautiful white horse, Falada. Love this for her. And yay for her daily rides, because that's her only freedom. Okay, is anyone else getting like Tangled vibes? Then there's this whole thing where her mom like kind of forces her to be silent and still for hours and sometimes days at a time. Girl, run. Like, that's definitely not normal. Maybe it is for sorceresses, though. What do I know? I'm not the daughter of a sorceress. After, shall we say, a very suspicious death in their tiny town, they flee in the middle of the night, riding Falada to the remote country mansion of a wealthy older man, the squire, and his sister, Hester, who has chosen to remain unwed. The plan? Marriage. Now, both Cordelia and Hester know this plan cannot end well for the bumbling gentleman, like, clearly. And Hester realizes that she's going to have to face down one heck of a wicked witch to save her brother and the silent, terrified Cordelia. Good luck to Hester. Then Cordelia. Then Falada. Then everybody. Except for the sorceress. We're not rooting for the sorceress, even though she's the title character, apparently. August 13th, Jessica Lard, keep your ears out. This could be a potential buddy read for us. I have read The Secret History already, and while I loathed every single character in it, it was also really well written and kind of amazing. So take that for what you will. But this is Society of Lies. This is Lauren Ling Brown's debut, and it sounds kind of amazing. So here we go. Princeton, the perfect place to head back for a charming 10-year reunion, or to, freaking go to school if you can get into an Ivy League. Jeez. But especially, it is delightful when your sister is about to graduate during your 10-year reunion. Right. Wow. My sister doesn't quite make it to graduation. And Maya is pretty darn sure she knows why Naomi did not make it to graduation when she finds out that her sister was following in her footsteps and was a part of the Sterling Club, the school's most exclusive social club on campus, despite her numerous warnings telling her sister, don't do it. Maya does not believe the police when they rule Naomi's death an accident, and instead she is convinced that Naomi was tapped for the secret society within the Sterling Club, because of course they're going to have a secret society within the secret society, as one does, sure. After all, as it turns out, apparently Naomi isn't the first to keep secrets in the society, or a turn of dead. Dark academia, secret societies, hidden secrets of the upper crust, and a murder mystery. This is so on my fall TBR. August 13th also brings one of my absolute top most anticipated books of the month. If I had to pick 2 or 3, this would be in that list. This might be my number 1. I am talking about Lady Macbeth by Ava Reid. I fell in love with A Study in Drowning last year. Every word I read, every inch of that book that I tore into deeper just gave me more. I'm telling you, I could not be more excited for this book. Not to mention that Macbeth is obviously one of Shakespeare's not just most famous plays, but one of the most interesting to analyze. Are you kidding? Come on, double toil and trouble? Now, we have got all of the Greek imaginings that have been coming out lately, but a Shakespeare reimagining that takes the most famous villainess, not the worst, okay, the most famous. You ever read Titus Andronicus? Go look to that if you want some characters. This gives her a voice, okay? We saw her created and written by a man. We saw the voice and lines that a man gave her. Now we get her written by not just a woman, but by Ava Reid. I don't know if I'm ready, but give me this book. Okay. Here we go. The description I have for you. Here are the things that Our Lady knows, okay? Stories say that her eyes induce madness in men. She will be wed to a Scottish brute, and she does expect him to treat her roughly and as a Scottish warrior would, including in their marriage bed. This is not the kind of book where that's good. The lady knows that his court will be hostile and suspicious, and she will be playing a game of strategy and will, and it will take all of her wiles and hidden witchcraft if she wishes to survive. But there are things she doesn't know. She does know that her husband has occult secrets of his own. She does not know that there is a prophecy about him that basically girds him like armor, and she doesn't know that her armor is greater and more dangerous and will threaten the very order of the world. But she will, and soon so shall we. Even the way she writes a freaking description. August 13th, we've got A Werewolf's Guide to Seducing a Vampire. This is probably not going to give us a lot of very interesting subtext to analyze, but it is the third book in the Glimmerfall series by Sarah Hawley. Last year, I read A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon. It was cute. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It's a little cottagecore. It's tried to do a little too much of everything, and I'm hoping it's finally settled into itself now that we're on book 3. I didn't get a chance to read book 2 yet. So anyway, we've got Ben. He was really cute in the first book. He was one of my favorite characters, so I'm very excited to see a book about him. He is a werewolf, and he's owner of this giant greenhouse at the center of town called Ben's Plant Emporium, and I remember him being like really cute and funny and kind of like bubbling and endearing as well. Right now, business is great for him, but his parents are like, hey, we really want to see you married and settled down. If I recall correctly, he was basically married to his greenhouse, so this will be fun. He's content, right? And then one night, this fits what I recall about him, he drunkenly bids on a shiny, shiny crystal that is, as advertised, you great big idiot, it's written right there, possessed. Yeah, no, it is in fact inhabited by a vampire succubus. Just take that creature description for a sec. Oh, we're gonna have so much fun. This succubus vampire or vampire succubus, yeah, she is cursed to obey whomever possesses the crystal, okay? And our darling Eleanor would love nothing more than to eviscerate puppy boy Ben here. But then she realizes his claws can scratch a different kind of itch for her. Look, I'm reading book 2 in the series just to get to book 3. I'm saying it right now. I think those claws might scratch one of my itches too. Literarily. Jeez. Guys. All right, August 13th, we are also getting the sequel to Ghostsmith from Nikki Palpado. That's right, House of Dead number 2. Ghostsmith is coming out, and this is indeed a duology, which I did not realize. So I found the first book. It's YA. It was a little too creepy, a little too dark. It was such an interesting premise, but the spice was too mild to balance out the creep factor for me. So I was kind of like, oh, I'm not going to keep going on reading it. It's about Ren, who forms this alliance, this super dangerous situation, and it's got like really creepy bone magic. Like, it's freaking bone magic, okay? It's a bone smith, like, not kidding here. She's battling the undead to prove herself and going into enemy territory to rescue an enemy prince and working with an enemy, quite possibly, in said territory. But I gave it 3 stars, and now that I know it's only a duology, I'm kind of like, the copy from Fairyloot was really beautiful. I might just finish it out since it's a duology, and it really did creep the crap out of me. So Halloween is coming. I'm braver than I was last year, right? Is the girl who's basically dressed like fairy tale princess. Yep, okay. August 13th, we're also getting the first in a new fantasy series called The Age of Blood. Number 1, doesn't that sound so teary for everyone, called Mistress of Lies by K.M. Enright. This is about Shan LeClaire, and oh boy, yeah, she is starting her book off with a bang, and not the kind I like to see a book start off with. Patricide. That's a fun one, right? I feel like we just saw a book start off with Patricide. The jousting one in space, right? Yeah? Anyone remember that one? I'll pop that one up on the screen. She's doing this so she can become the head of her household after spending her entire life perfecting her blood magic. Well, yay for having goals and ambition there, Shan. Okay. So anyway, she's also, while perfecting her blood magic, she was also crafting a network of spies and collecting every scrap of power she could snatch up and hold close to her little heart. Meanwhile, we also have Samuel Hutchinson. I'm the Samuel in this story, okay? Yeah, his intro isn't any less exciting, but is completely accidental. So already we see why I'm relating to Samuel. He just happens to stumble upon the first victim of a magical serial killer. I have not done this, but is this something I could totally achieve? Absolutely. And by doing this, he, gets drawn into a world of magic and intrigue. And it's the one he's tried so very hard to avoid. So really sorry about your day there, Sam. Yeah. But now you're stuck getting drawn into the court of the vampire king. Now the king's all you, Shan, and you, Sam. Ooh, rhyming. Fun. And you, mysterious blood worker in the back, Isaac. For reasons I am not going to explain to you whatsoever, I am making it your job to go and find this killer who's, killing his way through the city. Go. Poor Sam, though, he has no idea that Shan is, leading him down this treasonous, vengeful path, right? And totally acting in her own interest by, drawing him closer and closer. And I do mean, you know what I mean. Don't make me bat my eyelashes any more than that. And now he's got to be all is the good of the nation worth the cost of my soul? And meanwhile, I'm wondering where, Isaac is. He just got lost and dropped from the rest of the summary. So I'm going to say he's back here with me, and we're going to hang out and eat some popcorn together while we watch Shan and Sam hunt down the killer. Me and Isaac. August 13th also brings us The Phoenix Keeper by S.A. McLean. I'm kind of secretly hoping that Phoenixes, become the new dragon. We just haven't seen enough of them. But I'm secretly hoping that unicorns then become the new phoenixes. Because guess what my favorite magical animal is? And guess what nobody wants to write about? Because they just think they're too girly and magical and princessy. And that's why I like them. So, I'm never fishing my wish on that one. Okay, so I want you to meet Ava. Ayla. She is this close to achieving her childhood dreams of conserving the phoenixes in the world. So far, she has become head phoenix keeper at a world-renowned zoo for magical creatures. So far, so good, right? Right. And she's also doing a really good reestablishing the zoo's breeding program that has not functioned in a decade. So good for you, girl. But now she's kind of hit this snag, right? All right, there's always a snag, isn't there? So when a phoenix heist, okay, sabotages this flagship initiative at a neighboring zoo, Ayla has to prove that her somewhat decrepit facilities are up to the task. So sure, she can handle animals. I mean, you name it. Carnivorous water horses, tempestuous thunderhawks, snarky dragons, whatever. But inspiring zoo patrons, well, that might actually stand in the way of saving a species from extinction. But asking the hotshot griffin keeper from the zoo's most popular exhibits, the one who just happens to be the brooding, insufferable know-it-all named Luciana, who was maybe her arch-rival from college, and also thinks Ayla's Phoenix would probably, be better off performing than as a passive, conservation exhibit. The world's watching. Poachers are looming. But Ayla isn't just fighting for her job. She's fighting for the species as the keeper of the phoenix. Cozy fantasy, queer romance, and every magical beast you can name, including, in the description, I read unicorns. Sign me up. August 13th, finally the last book we are getting, Born of Blood and Ash from JLA. Jennifer L. Armentrout, if you're new. It is the fourth book in the Flesh and Fire series, which is the spin-off series from Blood and Ash, and I actually think is better. Not only does it do a more interesting job telling the origin material for the From Blood and Ash series, but it actually is more Greek mythology. You see the influences more in. That's just a personal preference thing. Don't come for me. August 20th, my last week pre-birthday, a historical fiction book that has officially piqued my interest from Jodi Picoult. Not an author I read from all the time, because she actually makes me cry. But she's gone with a Shakespeare theme. So color me intrigued. And call me by any other name. No, that's the title of the book, by any other name. All right, so we have two women who are separated by centuries, but related by blood. I like this. And their love of playwriting. I know, it's good, right? It's good. And they're also very talented. In 1581, we have Miss Amelia Bassano, and she has no voice. She's a woman in 1581. I feel like that's redundant, but it's in the summary, so I'll say it. But as Lord Chamberlain's mistress, she does have access to all of the theater in England. Lucky girl. Kind of jealous. Minus the whole, like, bathroom medicine. You know what? I take it back. Not jealous, but some of the fashion, kind of rockin'. Now, she's been, like, scribbling down on her pages, right? Totally inspired by the theater. And eventually she finds a way to bring her masterpieces to this stage, but in secret. And she does this by paying a man to use his name. Now, by doing this, she clearly gives him credit for all of her work, which turn out to be the greatest dramatic masterpieces in the world, and writes her own name right out of history. That's right, these are the works of William Shakespeare. We are off to a fun start. I'm already angry, but so intrigued. Roughly 400 years later, present day, her ancestor, Melina Green, has written a new work inspired by the life of her Elizabethan ancestor, Amelia Bassano. But I don't think she knows, like, the secret, obviously. Now, the challenges have changed, but the playing field, yeah, we all know it's still not even, okay? Like, let's not pretend. She eventually finds herself basically facing the same quandary as her ancestor. Like, is she willing to forego her credit as an author in order to see her work be performed? Is it more important to allow the work to live on forever via performance and forfeit credit? Is it worth getting your words and work put out there if it essentially means to do that, you yourself have to be forgotten? I'm curious to hear what conclusion the book comes to. August 20th also brings, another book I'm so excited for. Wisteria, Belladonna #3, the conclusion to the trilogy by Adalyn Grace. I have fallen so hard in love with this trilogy. It is this wonderful gothic romantasy mystery about a girl who can't die, who falls in love with death. Like, come on. The writing is so atmospheric. I want you to think, like, Wuthering Heights is, but completely accessible, delightful, mysterious, just romantic, capital R, lowercase r, everything. And as the writing goes on, you can feel the Greek mythology inspiration just growing and growing and growing. Some people did not love Foxglove as much. I did. Both were full 5 stars for me, and I think this is going to be a complete 5-star trilogy. I am so excited to see the finale of this trilogy. Adalyn Grace is a beautiful writer. Oh, I'm so excited. August 20th also brings us Gabby Burton's sequel to Sing Me to Sleep, which is called Drown Me with Dreams. I love her titles. This is kind of a dark, almost reverse Little Mermaid retelling. Our main girl is a siren, but she's like on land. There's still a prince and everything. But there are some aspects in which the prince needs rescuing and some aspects in which she is the one at risk. So it's got some very interesting things and a ton of Easter eggs, if you know your Little Mermaid story very, very well. There is essentially this division between magical creatures and humans, and she is forced to hide the fact that she has siren powers, and it is just this fresh and vivid retelling. It's really unique, and honestly, if you are looking for a YA fantasy romantasy with a little diversity in there, if you want a beach read that would be really great and atmospheric for when the sun goes down. It's got a little bit of darkness, but you still want to smell that, like, something for when you got that smell of the briny air there, you know what I mean? It feels like anything can happen, but it's slightly haunting. This would be perfect for that. And next comes August 27th. I will be a year older and wiser by now and ready to read the second in the Nightbirds series called Fyrebirds. This is by Kate J. Armstrong. I was not a booktuber when I read the first book in this series, and now it is well over a year and a half since I read the first book, and I just cannot do it justice telling you how incredibly beautiful the first book was. But let me tell you, if you did not read Nightbirds, this book was so criminally underhyped last year. It got a cover facelift. I'm hoping it's gonna hit this year because it was phenomenal. We've got this glittering, gleaming, beautiful world very inspired by like the 1920s, but you also get slightly Gilded Age vibes where magic is illegal, but you can buy it for a price. Every year, a new group of these beautiful night birds comes into play, and every night they go to work at what feels very much like a brothel, but is slightly less seedy, but is very high-end, glamorous, and is only selling kisses. That's right. For a very expensive price, you can buy a nightbird's magic for a very short amount of time if they bestow a kiss upon you. If you get a kiss from, say, the nightingale, your voice might suddenly become very persuasive for maybe 24 hours, and you can convince a lot of people to do a lot of things. And if you get a kiss from the magpie, maybe you will suddenly notice all those glittering, gleaming objects really stand out to you, and you might have a much easier time just sort of snatching those away with nobody noticing. It's really, really, really compelling stuff and really interesting, but you have to remember that it only lasts for a short time and it can become very, very, very addicting. This year's new girls are Matilda, who is not ready to settle down despite being a part of the glittering upper echelon of society, and is very happy to be a nightbird and have her powers, and has no desire to pass them on or move on from being a nightbird despite her parents' urgings. We have Sayre, who is this orphan who is from the seedy underbelly and may or may not have an ex-girlfriend who's like the head of the gang, which is kind of amazing. And we also have Asa, who is terrified of her magic and kind of is like the sweet innocent girl who thinks it might be a sin, but also knows it's the only way to like help her family. They're really poor, so she's doing this, but it's like, oh, I don't think this is a great idea. They're all hidden behind their masks every night. They're trying to support one another. They have like this amazing security system, but things are starting to fail and go down because of course, there's a deadly political scheme. There's a rise in religious fanaticism against their magic. There's this whole patriarchal society that is just, you're dying to bring it down the more you read, and you know they're being lied to about their powers. So it is an amazing read. August 27th also brings Daydream. This is the third book in the Maple Hills series by Hannah Grace. The first one's Icebreaker, that series. So we've got Henry Turner. Henry made an oopsie. See, he was a procrastinator, and now he's stuck in this super tough class with his least favorite professor. And he knows he's going to have to work like extra hard because it's his junior year, which is important, sure. But he also accidentally got made ice hockey captain, which was a responsibility he also did not want. So he absolutely cannot fail, or he's going to mess up the entire team. Really ambitious, our Henry Turner here. Then we have Hallie Jacobs. Now, Henry meets her by accidentally crashing her book club. I like that being cute. I do. I'm not gonna lie to you. I can really kind of just like picture this guy like falling into like a study room in the library and being like, oops. Can't you see it? I can see it. Anyway, she agrees to help him with all the reading material because like boy's drowning. But turns out she could use some help of her own. Like, it's not like she has a ton of free time here. Like, I feel like tit for tat's fair play here because she has all of her classes, she has a job, and girl's working on a novel. She's ambitious, okay? She's running into some writer's block because, well, it's a romance novel, and where she's having a little trouble is her lack of real life experience in certain parts of the romance department, if you take my meaning. I know you take my meaning, you're smart people. Tough to write things you haven't experienced. So Henry's like, oh, well, I can help you with that. We just have to like stick to a rule book and not fall in love. Girl, if you're writing a romance book, I know you've read some. You know this trope. I know you know this trope, but go ahead and live it. We're all rooting for you. Lastly, on the 27th comes book one in the Time of Iron and the tagline, a tale for everyone who has fallen for the villain. I'll give you a moment. Moment's over. It's called Long Live Evil. This is by Sarah Reese Brennan. This is about Ray. So when her life first collapsed, she at least had books, but when she finds out she's dying, she sort of leaps at the chance to enter a magical bargain. She gets a second chance at life, and she just has to live in the world of her favorite magical series. This sounds great. We all know magical bargains never work out like you think they do, but she should know this if she's read lots of magical series, but apparently girly wasn't paying enough attention. So, allow me to describe the world she's about to enter for you. We've got a castle on the edge of a hellish chasm, a kingdom on the brink of war, dangerous monsters, scheming courtiers, and her favorite character. Almost forgot him, the once and forever Emperor. Anyone read Mistborn? And he is impossibly alluring, of course, as only a fictional character can be. The only catch here, apparently, she's a villain. But you know what? She's gonna roll with it. They get better wardrobes, better one-liners, and she's just gonna kind of like choose to ignore that whole like they tend to be like doomed to bad endings thing. She was dying anyway, I guess, right? But just in case, she decides that she is going to assemble all the other villains under her leadership so they can all try and change their fate. She's got an axe-wielding maid, a shining knight who kind of has like really dark moods, a homicidal bodyguard, useful, and a playboy spy master with a golden heart and a filthy reputation. But like things aren't really going to plan, and as the body count rises, so does the Emperor's temper. And she's kind of starting to wonder if like her and her allies are gonna make it to the final page. Long live evil. Now, if you are done and don't want to hear about special editions that are coming out, thank you so much for joining me. Please like and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed these. Please let me know in the comments which books you are looking forward to the most, and I will see you again next time. Bye! For those of you who are sticking around, let's talk about books that are coming out in July. And now for those special edition July book boxes. Let's start with Fairyloot. Adult is doing The Night Ends with Fire, which I think is the very first book I talked about. YA is doing Sleep Like Death, and Owlcrate is also doing this, by the way. This is from Kaylin Barron, and she also did This Poison Heart and This Wicked Fate, and this was delightful. So I did not read Cinderella is Dead simply because I don't want Cinderella to be dead, but I'm very curious to read Sleep Like Death because honestly, I have not read many Snow White retellings, so super curious for this one. If you're wondering why you didn't hear a description though, it came out in June. And the Romantasy book, I am so excited to tell you. I don't care that I already own 2 copies of this, by the way. I have the UK and US edition. The Wren in the Holly Library. I can't wait to see what they do with this book, given that the original Red Tower edition is already so beautiful. I cannot wait to see the end paper artwork. I'm dying. Okay, for Illumicrate, we have The Phoenix Keeper. It's coming out in August, and it sounds to die for. Owlcrate Adult is doing Spellshop, and I get it now. I don't think they call it adult. I think they call it regular Owlcrate, whatever. Bookish box, we're getting Hallowed Games from C.N. Crawford. This came out in 2023, and book 2 is coming out in November, so I hope I like it. They're really good about following up with second books in series. So this is about a girl with a deadly touch who finally meets a guy who, of course, is immune to it. He's a vampire, and they go through trials together. So yay, fun. Darkly Box is giving us Court of Nightmares by K.A. Knight. Now, all right, y'all, this is a why choose, okay? And this is about a vampire who has many, many mates. Like, we're talking 7 of them. The relationships, I admit, they're pretty loving. They have some depth. But, like, I got this already from Fabled. And, like, Fabled Knights gave this book 7 peppers. Kind of as a joke because there are 7 mates. But, y'all, this is way more spud than plot. I am telling you right now, the group scenes. And if you don't like red liquid play, she's a vampire. Like, it's getting used in those scenes in numerous ways. This is not the book for you. Skip it. However, if you are a smut lover, yeah, no, Darkly Box, they're starting to show their true colors, and they are red. Moonlight book box is giving us Slaying the Shifter Prince by Claire Sager. This is about an area performer who happens to be seeking revenge on the Fae Prince who is responsible for her sister's death. Honestly, we see this plot a surprising amount, although the area performer thing is new. I have a friend who does acro yoga, and it's beautiful to watch, so yay! And now, on to the August special editions. For August from Fairyloot, we have the book we talked about last from August, Long Live Evil, which should be lots of fun. For YA, they are doing The Girl with No Reflection, and Romantasy, we are getting Bonded by Thorns. This is from the Beasts of the Briar series and came out in 2023. It is by Elizabeth Helen and is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, in case you couldn't have guessed that. And we've got 1 bookworm and 4 handsome princes. And no, she will not be choosing. That's right. We are getting a Why Choose from Fairyloot in their Romantasy box. I am just tickled pink to tell you that. Happy birthday to me, indeed. From Illumicrate, we are getting Mistress of Lies, and Moonlight Bookbox is doing Threaded from Tay Rose. This is about a girl who is thrust into court when summoned by the queen. This is the last thing she wants, FYI. This is not a happy thing for her. We've got magic there, a disgraced royal heir, and a brooding bodyguard. Sounds like fun to me. From Bookish Box, we are getting House of Bane and Blood from Alexis L. Menard. This is a rivals to lovers arranged marriage in an urban setting with rival families. It's kind of like a post-industrial age kind of setting with a Grishaverse-esque magic system. Color me intrigued. From Darkly, we're getting The Graham Effect, which I'm sure you've heard of by now. Everyone's heard of it by now. Dear God, I'm so sick of frickin' hockey. No offense to everyone, but like, can we pick another sport? Can we pick a not sport? Anyway, this is about Gigi, who has Olympic hockey goals. So at least the girl also plays hockey here. I'm giving them mega points for that. But she is going to be coached by a big, grumpy hockey star. And he could just be the thing to help her improve her game. We're going to stay on and off the ice. Owlcrate is giving us A Sorceress Comes to Call, and guess who finally got off their waitlist? Life's good. YA will be Castle of the Cursed, which comes out July 30th. But that is all for the August book boxes. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you heard about some books that you are really excited to read, maybe some that you didn't even know were coming out. Please let me know below in the comments which ones you are most excited about, and like and subscribe. But that is all from me today. I will let you get back to your book, and I'll be getting back to mine. I am about to get into all of my Summerween books, which is absolutely the best part of July, if you ask me, in this sticky, icky month. I'm more of a fall girl, what can I say? I will see you guys next time, whether that is for a Summerween video or you just tune into these, in which case I will see you hopefully on time at the end of August for my most anticipated September and October releases. Yay, Burr months. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.